Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are doing another tier list, as you can see, and this one's going to be on UCL finals. For the last couple weeks in my comment section, I've seen a couple of you guys requesting this one, so you guys know me. I'm like Santa Claus. Whatever you ask, I deliver. And also like Santa Claus, I watch you when you're sleeping. But anyway, that's besides the point. We got every single UCL final here starting in 08-09 all the way to the most recent one, obviously, between Inter and Man City. We got 3 tiers on the side. Amazing, good, and boring. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. And the criteria for this video is going to be pretty simple. The way we're going to rank these finals is how fun were they to watch. There's really no other way to rank a football game other than that. Were we on the edge of our seats, or were we about to fall asleep watching the game? So yeah, it should be pretty fun. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's start ranking some UCL finals. Starting off with 08-09, Barcelona versus Manchester United in Rome. This one to me is going to go into boring pretty clearly. I mean, this final had 2 goals. Obviously, Barca scored both of them. In the first 10 minutes of the game, Man United actually created some chances. They were actually the better team for the first 10 minutes, but then after Eto'o scored the goal in the 10th minute, this game was over at that point. Barca were just a much better team, and they were always going to win this game no matter what. After that, they just played basically Bayern Munich around the park, and then in the 70th minute in the second half, Messi scored that header, which obviously we all know how iconic that header is when he's holding his shoe in the celebration. But yeah, to me, this game was just boring. Manchester United barely created any chances. Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets dominated that Man United midfield of Giggs, Carrick, and Anderson. I'm pretty sure that's the team that was the setup that they had on that day. And yeah, bro, after Messi's goal was over, after Eto'o's goal, to be honest with you, it was over. Now, this final does have some sentimental value or some iconics. It's iconic in the sense that it was the first and only time, actually, that Ronaldo and Messi faced off in the biggest game in club football in the UCL final. One guy showed up, Messi. The other guy, Mr. UCL Clutch, kind of ghosted for this whole game. But anyway, I don't even know why I brought that up, guys. That's silly me. I'm being so mean for no reason. But yeah, to me, that's not, like, even that sentimental value of Messi versus Ronaldo, it's not good enough to put it above boring for me because, like I said, Barca was always the better team, and they were always going to win this game, and they did. Moving on to 2009-2010, Inter Milan versus Bayern Munich in the Santiago Bernabeu in Madrid. Of course, this one to me is going to go into boring. Now, this game also finished 2-0, and it's very similar to the same, it's basically the same explanation that I have for 08-09. Inter was always the better team. I mean, this game to me is known as the Diego Milito game because Diego Milito was so fucking good on this day. He scored a brace, and both goals were beautiful, especially that second goal. I think he puts Demichelis or Van Bommel in a fucking blender and then finishes it with a side footing. Now, what's cool about this final is that both of these teams are gunning for a treble. If Bayern Munich won, they were going to win the treble, and obviously Inter Milan won, and they won the treble. Louis van Gaal's Bayern Munich on that day, like for this whole season, basically, they were a possession-based football team. And obviously, if you know anything about Inter and Jose Mourinho at the time, which I do because they beat Barca in the round before, which still hurts to this day, you know that they were a counter-attacking team. They were so efficient on the counter with Schneider, with Eto'o, with Pandev, and with Milito. And that's what happened on that day. Bayern Munich kept most of the ball, but whenever Inter had the ball, they converted their 2 chances, and that was basically, I mean, the 2 goals, and then Bayern Munich really didn't create much. That defense of Lucio and Chivu and Walter Samuel and Maicon, I'm pretty sure, and Zanetti and Cambiaso just completely dominated Bayern Munich's attack, who also were missing Frank Ribery on that day because he was suspended for the final, but they still had Aaron Robben, they still had a couple other good players. But yeah, to me, it's just like, again, one team was always better, and that's why I'm going to put it in boring. Next, we got 2011 Wembley Stadium, Man United versus Barcelona, the rematch from 2 previous years, obviously, in Rome. This one, to me, is going to go in amazing, and people are going to be like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? This final sucked. Barca was always the better team, and it was, but sometimes the performance is so dominant that you can't help but put it in amazing. And this is going to be a glaze fest, guys, so get ready, okay? Barcelona on that day, I've said this a bunch of times, to me, they had the single greatest performance in the history of a UCL, over like a big competition final. Barcelona in 2011 in that final, it was just insane how well they played. It was insane how efficient they were and how amazing they played on that day. And to me, that's good enough to put it into amazing. When you see a performance that outstanding, it's got to go into amazing because, yes, while the game might have been boring, Barca playing on that day just left me mesmerized. And I'm pretty sure if you watched that final, it left you mesmerized, even if you're not a Barca fan. I mean, Iniesta, Xavi, and Busquets, all 3 of them had assists. Messi, Pedro, and Villa, all 3 of the attackers had goals. And, you know, like, even though Rooney scored a goal right before halftime, the 1-1, a goal that, by the way, was offside, but that goal was a banger. Even me watching that game, I never thought that Man United was going to win the game because I always thought Barca was a better team. Like, it was never in jeopardy. But then in the second half, you know, Messi scores a banger, and then David Villa scores a banger. I mean, all 4 goals were really beautiful, honestly. Even Pedro's goal was really nice as well. That side foot finish, past Van der Sar in the near post. And yeah, to me, and there was also 4 goals in this game, so that also props it up a little bit. The other 2 finals had 2 goals. This one had 4 goals. And like I said, all 4 of them were beautiful. But just watching Barcelona's dominance on that day, toying with that Man United team, that was actually a really good team. They won the Premier League that season. And Barca just completely played them out of the park. They could have, Man United could have had 15 players on the pitch that day. Barca would have put 3 past them no matter what. And yeah, so to me, that's good enough to put into amazing. And also the legends on the pitch. I mean, you're talking about Wayne Rooney, Scholes, Vidic, Fernand. You're talking about Messi, Busquets, Villa, Pedro, Puyol actually, no, Dani Alves, Vidal, I mean, Piqué, Victor Valdez. The legends on the pitch are also amazing as well. So to me, 4 goals, a domination like that. it's going to go into amazing. 2012-2013, Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund. This one to me is going to go into good. Now, this final obviously had a last-minute goal from Arjen Robben. But even with that last-minute goal, this final is really not like, it's forgettable to me. It's a really forgettable final. It was obviously the first and only time that two German teams faced off in the final. But let's be honest, guys. Bayern Munich was always the better team. That Borussia Dortmund team was a great story. They beat Real Madrid in the semifinals, which is great. You know, Lewandowski had a great run. Wish we had that Lewandowski right now in Barcelona. But anyway, I can't ask for that. He was way younger here. But anyway, this Bayern Munich team was they won the treble that year. They were always the better team. All three goals were kind of shit. I mean, Robben's last minute goal was nice, but that ball just kind of rolled like at 2 miles per hour over the line. It's such a weird goal that he scored. But Mario Mandzukic's goal in the first half was just a tap in. The goal that Borussia Dortmund scored was a fucking penalty. And yeah, also Mario Götze missed this final because he was suspended. He was obviously one of Borussia Dortmund's best players that season because they obviously had Lewandowski, Royce, Gundogan, and then Götze. That was like their core in the attack. And he missed that game, so that also kind of affected Borussia Dortmund. But these teams, like in Bundesliga, Bayern Munich beat them by like 25 points in the Bundesliga. By like, I think something crazy like that. So we always knew who the better team was. And while yes, there was a last minute goal, I think if you ask most people about this final, it's a pretty forgettable one. Like, so to me, it's not good enough to go above like amazing or it's not good enough to be an amazing, but it's also not boring. You get what I'm saying? Next we have Bayern Munich versus Chelsea in 2011-2012. I actually should have done this one before the Dortmund Bayern one, whatever. But anyway, who gives a fuck? We're doing it now. This one to me is gonna go into amazing. Probably the best Champions League final that I've seen like live in my lifetime, and I think it's the best Champions League final that anybody has seen post 04-05 between obviously Milan and Liverpool. This final was fucking amazing. Like for the first 80 minutes, it wasn't that great, but then Thomas Müller scores that header, but then like it looks like Bayern Munich are going to win the game in their home stadium, which is fucking crazy. They played a home UCL final, but then Didier Drogba runs to the near post and fucking puts that header past Manuel Neuer. I still don't know how he gets that much power into that header, by the way, and just becomes Chelsea's hero. And then the game goes into extra time. And then in extra time, Arjen Robben takes the penalty and Petr Cech saves it. And then the game goes to penalties and Schweinsteiger misses his penalty and fucking Drogba misses his penalty. And I can still remember Martin Tyler's commentary, the greatest mountain in the history of Chelsea Football Club. And bro, it was just an iconic final. It had everything. It had late game drama, it had penalty shootouts, it had a penalty save in extra time. Now the only thing that you could ask for maybe more of this game was a little bit more goals, like maybe in extra time or in regular time. But still, bro, 1-1 going into like into extra time, a penalty save, and then a penalty shootout, which was a great penalty shootout as well. Petr Cech was just fucking, I mean, what a hero he was on that day. Yeah, to me, this final is going to go into amazing. Like I said, the best Champions League final that I've seen with my own two eyes live. Next, we have 2013-2014, the Madrid derby in Lisbon. This one to me is going to go into good. Now, this final had 5 goals actually. It finished 4-1 to Real Madrid. But to me, it was just like, for the first, for 90 minutes of that game, it was boring. I mean, Atletico Madrid scored that one goal, which was like a cartoonish goal from Diego Godin, where Iker Casillas comes out and then he tries to like take the ball out. It was just a bad goal. If you go back and watch that shit, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It just wasn't a good goal whatsoever. And then after that, it was just basically Atletico Madrid parking the bus and Real Madrid not being able to create anything. And then in the 93rd minute, Sergio Ramos out of nowhere scores a fucking header from a corner. And then, you know, the game ended 1-1 in regular time. And then it goes to extra time and Real Madrid put 3 past him in extra time. Obviously, Gareth Bale scored, Marcelo scored, and Ronaldo scored a penalty. So regular time wasn't that fun besides that 1 minute where Ramos scored the goal. And then extra time, Madrid just pummeled Atletico Madrid, who were just fucking shot in the heart, bro. I mean, that's such a shitty way to lose a UCL final, especially to like your biggest rivals like that. So yeah, to me, this one, even though like it's La Decima and like yeah, it's Ronaldo's playing a home, like playing back at in his country for a UCL final, and he scores a penalty. That's great. I don't really give a fuck about any of that. To me, the game in and of itself was just not that great. I think when people talk about this final, yes, people might think, oh, it was a great final because of the Ramos goal. But if you look at the whole game in and of itself, like that goal was the only fun part because the rest of it was just not that entertaining. Like I said, so to me, it's going to go into good. It wasn't boring because it obviously had 5 goals and late drama, but it's good. 2015, Juventus versus Barcelona. This one to me is going to go into boring. I mean, Barca, similar to the other Champions League finals that they played, this completely dominated Juve on this day. They started off the game in like the 4th minute. Rakitic just scored a goal. And after that, they pretty much controlled the game and controlled the pace of the game. Then Juve equalized in like the 50th minute because Morata scored a goal, which was Ter Stegen made a save, and it was just like a rebound. He had an open net. But then Suarez scored like 4 minutes after that, and then Neymar scored in like the 90th minute. This game was never in jeopardy to me, similar to the one in 2011 and similar to the one in 2009. I never for once thought Barca was going to lose this game. This Barca team was just way too good to lose that final. And yeah, they didn't lose it. So to me, 3-1, I mean, yes, 4 goals is great, but still, it's not good enough to put it above boring. Barca weren't nearly as dominant in this game as they were in 2011, even though the scorelines were the same. So to me, for that reason, it's going to go into boring. Next, we got 2016, the rematch of 2014 between Atletico and Real Madrid. This time, it was in the San Siro in Milano. This one to me is going to go into good. I think this final was good. Now, I finished 1-1, and obviously Madrid, unlike the other final, they scored first this time. I know they're cartoonishly weird goal from Sergio Ramos. It was just like a weird goal, honestly. And he was offside, I'm pretty sure there. And then, obviously, Griezmann gets a penalty in the second half, and he misses the penalty, hits the crossbar. But then Carrasco scores a really nice goal. And then, basically, for the rest of that, it was just Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid going back and forth, not really creating many chances. Then it went into extra time, and extra time was also kind of boring. But then it went into penalties, and penalties also always make a game more fun to me. Like, when I remember a game and I know that it went to penalties, it just gives it a different excitement to me. So that alone, and like Griezmann missing the penalty, and then the fact that it went to a penalty shootout makes it good enough to be in good for me. Good enough to be in good. It makes it entertaining enough to be in good for me. And yeah, like the penalty shootout, it was just comical because every Real Madrid penalty went the same way, and Oblak couldn't save a single one. But yeah, still, this game to me was pretty good, not boring, not amazing, just a good game. Next, 2017 Real Madrid versus Juventus in Cardiff. This one to me is gonna go into amazing. I did it with Barca, so I gotta do it with Real Madrid. I gotta be fair here. When a performance is so dominant and so good, you have to put it into amazing. Now, this game was never really close, but still, it was actually very similar to the Barca and Man United game where Real Madrid scored first, similar to Barca, and then they equalized with a banging goal. This time, Mandzukic scored a beautiful goal, and then obviously Real Madrid went back in the second half. They scored 3 goals and then just completely dominated Juventus on that day. Ronaldo scored a brace, Casemiro scored a really nice goal, though it was like a deflection, and then obviously Asensio scored a goal. To me, this final was just utterly dominant from Real Madrid. They just played Juventus out of the park, a really good Juventus team who was on track to win the treble that year, I'm pretty sure. And then, like I said, played him completely out of the park. And yeah, it was just like a dominant performance all around. That Real Madrid midfield worked so well on that day. Isco, Cruz, Modric, Casemiro. Ronaldo was amazing. His best UCL performance in a final, to me at least. Both the goals he scored were really nice. And yeah, Real Madrid was just always the better team, and they just dominated Juventus on that day. So to me, similar to Barca and United in 2011, I gotta put it in amazing. Moving on to 2018 Liverpool versus Real Madrid in Kiev. This one to me is gonna go into good. Pretty much the only reason why I'm putting this one in good is because of Gareth Bale's goal and how iconic it was. To me, it's the greatest goal in the history of UCL final, and he scored it on that day. Now, Karius was obviously comically bad on this game. Now, everybody talks about how the fact that he had a concussion, which, you know, I sympathize with him, but it doesn't change the fact that he was so shit. The two of the goals that Real Madrid scored out of the 3 were totally his fault. The Benzema goal, and then obviously the second Gareth Bale goal, or maybe the first Gareth Bale goal. I'm not sure which one. There was 4 goals in this game. Obviously, Sadio Mane also scored for Liverpool. But once Mohamed Salah went down in the first half with that fucking really dirty ass play from Sergio Ramos, which no one really ever talks about how dirty that fucking play was from him. But anyway, he dislocates his shoulders. Mohamed Salah, who was their engine that year, he was their best player by far. He's out of the game. And then after that, Liverpool just kind of shot in the heart, and they were just never going to win that game after Mo Salah went out, especially not against this Real Madrid team who was on their way to winning 3 in a row, and they knew how to play Champions League finals really well. So yeah, to me, it's good because of the Karius memes and the Bale goal, but I could easily put this final in boring, but I'm not going to because 4 goals and the memes, it's going to be in good. 2019 Liverpool versus Spurs. Let's just make this one quick, guys. Boring. The worst final of a big competition that I've ever seen. I fell asleep watching this game. Mohamed Salah scored a penalty. Divock Origi scored the second goal. Spurs were never supposed to be here. Liverpool were never supposed to be here because we should have fucking beaten them. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be boring. Really, there's no other way to put it. The worst Champions League final or the worst big game competition final that I've ever seen. 2019-2020 Bayern Munich versus PSG. Boring. Another 1-0. This one, what also makes it really boring to me is the fact that there was no fans. It was literally in the middle of COVID, so there was no fans in attendance, which just takes away the atmosphere for a UCL final, and that's kind of the reason why this game is also going to go into boring, which obviously has nothing to do with the game itself or the players. It was just no fans. It's just not good. Also, there was only 1 goal in this game. Lewandowski hit the post in the first half. PSG created some good chances. Bayern Munich created some good chances. This is not an instance where this Bayern Munich team was really good, one of the best teams of all time, but they didn't really dominate PSG on this day because PSG still had a really good team: Mbappe, Neymar, Di Maria, Verratti, obviously, and all those different players that are really good. But still, I mean, to me, Bayern Munich was the better team. They didn't prove it on the stage. They didn't show their dominance on the stage, but they won the game. Kingsley Coman scored a header in the second half, in the 70th minute or something, and then they just cruised after that. So to me, it's going to go into boring. No fans and just 1 goal, and just kind of not really that memorable. It's boring. 2021 Chelsea versus Manchester City. Boring again. Another 1-0. This time Kai Havertz scored a goal right before halftime in the 42nd minute. Chelsea's defensive performance on this day was fucking insanely good. One of the best that I've ever seen in Champions League finals that I've watched, at least in my lifetime. Thomas Tuchel's game plan was perfect. Man City was a really good team on that year, and they scored a lot of goals. They put 4 past PSG in the semifinals, and they couldn't score a single 1 past this Chelsea team. Now, still, to me, watching this game was just fucking boring. I mean, at the end, Man City kind of had some chances. I remember Riyad Mahrez scraped the post with a volley that he had in the 93rd minute. Christian Pulisic missed a chance for Chelsea as well. Timo Werner missed a couple chances. I'm pretty sure Raheem Sterling missed a chance as well, which he's prone to do. Yeah, but this game to me, it's just not that memorable. Again, not many fans in attendance. it's going to be boring. Moving on to 2022, Real Madrid versus Liverpool, the rematch from Kiev, obviously. This one to me is going to go into good. Now, this game wasn't really boring. It was 1-0 like 2019, 2020, and 2021. But that game, like those games were boring. This one wasn't really boring to me because I think Liverpool created a good amount of chances. But Thibaut Courtois just had one of the greatest goalkeeper performances in the history of a UCL final. Real Madrid scored a nice goal. I mean, that to me was still, like that cross from Fede Valverde, I think he was trying to shoot the ball to this day, I believe that. But still, I mean, Vinicius Jr. was right there. He scores an open net tap in. So yeah, the goal wasn't really that great, but the performance in and of itself between both teams, they were kind of going back and forth. There was two heavyweights going at it. And yeah, to me, it's good. Now, it wasn't nearly as good as any of the other Real Madrid games in this Champions League campaign, but this game wasn't boring. I mean, I think it was good. And then obviously the most recent final, Inter versus Manchester City. This one to me is also going to go in good. Now, obviously, Man City were supposed to dominate this game. They were supposed to win 4-0 or 5-0. And they really didn't do that. You could argue that Inter were the better team for the vast majority of this game. Then Rodri scored a goal in like the 80th minute or 70th minute, something like that. But still, Inter kept trying, and they also had some close chances to score. And if it wasn't for Lukaku, who knows? Maybe they win that game. But obviously they didn't. But yeah, this game to me wasn't boring. It's going to go in good. Now, it obviously continues a streak of like 1-0 UCL finals. But this one wasn't as bad as the other ones, you know? And that, guys, brings us to the end of the tier list. I appreciate you guys all for watching. You can see the final tiers right here. UCL finals are like big competition finals historically aren't really that entertaining. They're not really firework fest because teams are just looking not to concede and just play defensive. So obviously there's not that many great games here. But I think we did a pretty good job. If you guys like this video, please let me know in the comment section so I can do more. Leave some other suggestions for competitions you guys want me to rank the finals of. Maybe World Cup or Euro or Libertadores. I can do any of those if you guys want me to. So let me know in the comment section. And yeah, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.